Hello everyone, I'm Ron Grant coming to you live and direct from Tortola in the Virgin Islands. You're watching 284 Media. Thank you so much for your time. In 1973, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas earned its independence from Britain after some 255 years of control under the Crown. Now today, July 10th, the Bahamas will officially celebrate its 50th anniversary of governmental independence. Joining me out of the Bahamas is Member of Parliament, the Honorable Frederick A. Mitchell MP, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Public Service. Honorable Mitchell, it is an absolute pleasure. Now, as mentioned, the Bahamas is today celebrating its 50th anniversary of its independence. I want you to put that into perspective for the people of the Virgin Islands and really speak to that place in history, Bahamian history, that you are today celebrating.
So there are two things. First, there's the period of reflection. People are thinking about where we've come from, how the struggle came, and how much we've accomplished as a country. And then there's the question of where are we going in the future. Now, those are people who opposed independence. Some of them are still around. And of course, they're critics of independence who prefer being colonial status. They say that, the problems still exist. But as I argue, independence is not meant to be a panacea for all ills. It's meant to be a jurisdictional step so that you have the responsibility for taking the decisions with regard to your own life and your own country. And this has been a very fulfilling exercise because, for example, the Bahamas and CARICOM has carved out a space for relations with the dependent territories, including the one where you sit, the British Virgin Islands, Bermuda, Turks and Caicos Islands. And the point Ralph Gonsalves, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent, often makes about all of those countries is, in fact, the economies of those countries, those economies were built up by the people of those countries, not by the colonial overlord. So, in fact, it's the people of those countries that, in fact, run the countries. And the overlord sort of gets the credit for it. But when you look at the actual facts on the ground, it's the people of the country that run the country. And that was the situation with the Bahamas up to 1973. We in fact paid the British governor's salary, the people of the country, off their taxes in the House of Assembly. So the country is in fact run by Bahamians. So it was just a jurisdictional step then. And there's a lot of emotion which is tied up in it because people are very committed to the Bahamas. And
of course,
if you see, the country is very well decorated. A lot of Junkanoo bands this morning. Didn't get to bed till after midnight.
Wonderful. Now, I have to ask you, as the sitting Minister for Foreign Affairs and Public Service, what are you most proud of in being a Bahamian?
Boy, I mean, the list is so long. I just like the idea that when I cross a border and people see the passport I have, I call it the aha moment. It's just people have such a favorable impression of the country and how well it's done. And people say, Bahamas, aha. And I think that's a moment of great pride. And what I also like is the flip side is when you arrive back home, because it's a small country, that everyone knows your name. And it's wonderful to feel that you're back in a place where everyone knows your name and that we are able to match up with the giants. Some of the proudest moments, for example, are the 4 women who won the Olympics in Australia,
yes.
The 4 by 100 relays. It's just an amazing feeling to see them take the stand, and the flag goes up and you hear the national anthem and you know it belongs to you. And then the young men who did the same thing in London a few years later. So Sidney Poitier, who won the first Academy Award, who was a dual national Bahamian and an American, but grew up in the Bahamas for the first 15 years of his life, and credits his moral values with his upbringing in the Bahamas and what he got from his parents. So all of this gives you a sense of pride.
I can completely understand. I have to ask you, Honorable Minister, when you look across the Caribbean, like you mentioned, there are many OTs who are still not at that place of independence. The conversations are being had for many reasons. Persons are debating self-determination and self-governance as well as independence and the process, of course, to get to that. Having reflected on the progress and path of Bahamas, what would you say to overseas territories like the British Virgin Islands who are beginning to have those conversations among its residents in regards to the possibility of moving towards independence? What would you say to us?
If they come on in, the water's fine. There's nothing like making decisions for yourself. As I said, the economy which you have, an economy which has been built up by the hard work, dedication, loyalty of people of the British Virgin Islands. So there ought to be the ability to govern yourselves, both on the domestic side and in foreign affairs. And St. Kitts and Nevis is a country that's just about 50,000. So size doesn't matter in this situation. Andorra and the European Union with less than 100,000 people. But again, it's an independent country, and people make decisions for themselves about how they will interface with the world. And I think that's a good step to take. So we just want to be sure that people have the right of self-determination and that they have the ability to exercise that right if they wish.
Wonderful. MP Mitchell, I want to take this time to thank you, first of all, for joining us and to shedding some light. I also want to take this opportunity to wish happy independence to the people of the Bahamas, as well as the persons who are living in the BVI who happen to be from Bahamas. We wish you guys continued success and health of your residents, continued economic progress, and as you continue to chart the trajectory and the way forward as Minister for Foreign Affairs and Public Service, we wish you the very best in your duties. Thank you so much for your time.
Sure, and I hope to see you soon. I'm supposed to make it, so see each other soon. Thank you very much for your congratulations. It's a wonderful feeling, and I commend it to you.
Viewers, of course, you heard it here first from the Honorable Frederick A. Mitchell, MP, Minister for Foreign Affairs and the Public Service out of the Bahamas. Bahamas is celebrating its 50th anniversary of independence today, and we are happy to have been able to speak with him as well as to congratulate the people of Bahamas on this milestone. You heard it here first at 284 Media out of Tortola in the Virgin Islands. I'm Ron Grant. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Bye-bye.